Hello. We have another Saturday food support group. It's so awesome. We get to just come and join and have no labels and no judgment and no condemnation. We just talk about our journey with food and the support that we need through this journey, because all of us are eating on a different plan. But we are agreeing that we need support in this area. And so thank you guys so much for being here. And I did want to start to let you guys know that Amy and I did this workshop, and I am not about to start having this meeting be about God and about Bible study and everything. We are going to keep that separate on a separate meeting. And that is going to start February 18th. We are going to start a Bible study February 18th. And if you want to be a part of that Bible study, you're going to need to buy the book. And so go ahead and message me, and I'll get you the link to that book. And also, you need to be in the Food Freedom Prayer group on Facebook. Even if you're totally against Facebook, get a dummy account. Don't put your face on it. Don't put your name on it, and just go, just so that you can watch the replays, because that's the only place that we're going to put the replays of the recordings of the Bible study. Amy and I did our workshop and quickly realized that this was something that was needed. And so we are going to not talk about those things here, because I think it's really important, because you guys didn't sign up for a Bible study here. But if you are wanting to have that conversation, we can have that conversation over in the Food Freedom Prayer group. Amy, was there anything that you wanted to add?
Don't think so. I was trying to think. I was like, no, I think she got everything. You're good.
Awesome. Well, I'm always so glad to have you here, Amy, and everyone else. And there's tons that we can talk about that's not about the Bible and not about God. But Amy and I just got to the point where we had to share what was going on behind the scenes for us. And so I just want to thank you guys for accepting me where I'm at, and accepting me on my journey. And I think that that's a part that I really like about this group, is that we can come wherever we're at. We can come and be transparent and be authentic in this group. And we're not have to be scared of what, somebody's going to attack us or say, that we're not doing something right. And so that doesn't just happen. That happens with everyone who's involved in the group. And so I really appreciate that. And that means so much to me, that not only can I create this space for other people to come and know that they are safe, but I'm safe. When I come to this meeting and I share with you guys what I'm eating and what I'm struggling with the support that I need with food, you guys are a safe place for me. And that means a lot to me. So thank you very much. All right. So today we have an incredible update from Rosa. Rosa, go ahead.
Hi. So I have been unable to make the meetings as I would like to, but I am here today. And so yes, and I'm really happy to see all you guys. I watch all the meetings every week. I watch them on your YouTube channel, and there's I always have a lot of takeaways and things that I can relate to.
That's awesome.
And so, yeah, even though I'm not here in the meeting every week, I'm always watching. So
I love that.
And then, so my update today is that I just celebrated 4 years of sobriety from alcohol.
Oh my gosh, that's huge. That's huge.
So that is huge. I really struggled to be consistent with it. But I think one big thing for me is I always have to work on it every day. And I always have to remember my why and all the reasons why it doesn't work. It doesn't work for me. Because like you always say, we're not broken and we're all different, right? And so I realized that about myself is I have a lot of, I guess, I don't like to say issues, but I have a lot of dysfunction in my body that I don't have answers for. And I react to food, I react to all toxins, the same way, whether it's a sugar toxin, it's toxins from the environment, and alcohol is a big toxin. And so why would I don't detoxify very well. And that's one thing I know about myself. So why am I going to put toxins into my body that affects my brain, affects my healing process? And that's one thing I think about that every day. It's not the part where I get out of control and black out, even though that's not good. It's more of I'm trying to improve my health. So why am I going to add a toxin, into that?
It's so simple, when you put it like that, because in the moment, that's not what our zombie brain is thinking. In the moment, our brain is just going, oh, just give me some relief. I just want to escape. Like we're not thinking, oh, let me go ingest some toxins. We're just thinking, I just want relief. Just give me the alcohol. Give me that hit.
Yeah. And I think that's where I fell into it before is I was like, oh, I want to feel different. So I'm going to have a glass of wine or whatever. But I always quickly realized that I'm not somebody that can have a glass. I have to have the whole bottle, But I mean, that's something I'm very proud of is being able to be consistent with that.
I am so proud of you. I am so proud of you. And that you're willing to share that with us means everything to me, because I can imagine how difficult that is to really say that out loud. But thank you so much for trusting us and sharing that with us.
Well, and I think the big thing is that you have to just learn to live your life without needing those things. Like, I have fun. I have the most fun out of anybody I know because I have this natural abundant energy that doesn't go away. Usually if I, depending on how my body is doing that day, but, and I did realize that whenever I went back to drinking, I was not able to absorb my nutrients. So I had a lot of deficiencies.
Wow.
Like I got, I don't know if I've ever shared this before, but I had bruises all over my body. And I was really puffy and inflamed. And so that was a sign to me that, okay, we're not doing this anymore. Because my body, I already have a hard time absorbing nutrients because whatever else is going on in my body, whatever battle it's already fighting, I'll make it harder if I'm just putting toxins in. So
makes sense. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing that.
And the other thing I wanted to share is that I've been working with you, Emily, for I don't remember how many months now.
Quite a while. It's probably been like 4 or 5 times.
Yeah. Just and we've never really talked about the food aspect. We've never gone into that. But over the last couple months, and over this last year, I've been carnivore. I had started carnivore again because my IBS flared up and I was having eczema was coming back. So I went strict carnivore last January and I was feeling really good for many months. And I was, doing the fasting, the feasting and the fasting where I was able to lose some weight. But then I realized when I just went carnivore, the weight came back. And then, I don't know, a couple months ago, I noticed I was just really inflamed. I was holding on to a lot of water weight. And I was having a hard time fasting, even though I was eating a lot of meat and fat. And so I tried doing a more ketogenic approach, so eating more fat and a little less protein, trying to get into ketosis. And sometimes I would, but I noticed nothing, the scale still didn't move. And I didn't feel very good. Like I just felt really foggy brain and all these things that are not supposed to happen on carnivore. And so it's really hard for me because I really believe carnivore is, you know, the ultimate elimination diet, and it's a healing diet, and I love it. And I really support carnivore for a lot of people, but I think we're all different and we have to realize what's not working.
Yes. And
So
it's hard whenever
that's such a
whenever
relief
you
to
want
like
it to.
actually say out loud. I haven't said this out loud.
It's hard. It really is, because we want it to work. We want it to work. And because it did work for a time.
Mm-hmm.
It really did. And so I don't think the message is that carnivore doesn't work. It's just that we need to listen to our bodies, and we need to pivot and shift whenever our bodies are telling us something else. And your body was obviously telling you something was wrong.
Well, yeah. And well, I think the breaking point was it was just the month of December. I gained like 10 pounds. Like it was crazy. I didn't cheat. I didn't have any sugar. I didn't have any carbs. I had meat and fat. That's what I had. Like, I think this was one of the first actual holidays where I didn't even make a cheesecake or anything. You know, I didn't cheat. I mean, I didn't. And I was like, what is going on? And I was really depressed. I had, of course, you know, because I'm gaining weight out of nowhere and I don't feel good. And I was having issues like thinking straight. It was really weird. I was like, what is going on? And so because when I first started carnivore again, I felt amazing. Like I felt so much energy and so I was really dumbfounded, and that's why I came to you and I said, I asked you these questions that we used, you know, we did our muscle testing and then I kind of knew the answer, but I didn't want to hear it, I guess. But because I always told myself like I can't have plants because my body, they hurt me. Because in the past, that's what has happened, especially like raw vegetables. Those are the worst for me. I have a lot of pain, a lot of trouble digesting. But there are certain ones that I knew I have an easier time with, like squash. I do really well with that. And I always kind of crave that. I crave like the butternut squash or the spaghetti squash. And that's really, I don't want fruit. I don't want any of that, just squash. Right. But anyway, we asked the question, you know, should I continue with carnivore? And the answer was no, a very loud no, actually.
Very loud no. Yeah.
And then we asked the questions about, you know, can I add some, you know, foods back in for variety? I don't remember the exact wording, but I was given a list, and some of the foods were very like confusing to me.
Yes.
Some of them I resonated with, you know, like the acorn squash and the avocado, because I kind of crave those foods. And then some of the foods were like sweet potatoes, and I was like, what? I have a sweet potato.
I know.
And what was the other one? Oh, kidney beans. Oh no. Well, because I just know that for me, beans, you know, they have a lot of lectins in them, and I do like get very bloated from those. And in the past, sweet potatoes made me really bloated. But I decided to trust what my body was telling me.
And it was hard. I remember you were like, what is this reality right now? You're like, what are you saying? And it was hard for me too, Rosa, because I was just like, am I leading her astray into some absolute torture? Like I was scared.
Yeah. And I know my body, and I know it's not smart to like add all these things at once. So I added one thing at a time, and I'm very, of course, I'm still very meat based. I'm always going to be meat based. Because there's so much importance in meat, and vitamins and minerals and all that. But the first thing I did add was the acorn squash. And I was amazed by the immediate response. It was with my mental health. Like I felt so happy when I ate the squash.
Wow.
So I knew like there's something missing. There's something I'm not getting from the foods I was eating. And then the avocado, that was fine. And what else did I try? Oh, I tried artichoke. And I just did these things in small doses to see how I felt, not overdoing it at all, because it's, a lot of fiber. And I know I have to be slow with that. But I was amazed because the first week I actually lost 6 pounds.
I can't
I was
believe
like,
that.
no, this can't happen because I'm eating carbs. These foods, they're not really high, I guess, in carbs, but there are healthy carbs, right? And so it was like, my mind was like, I don't know what's going on here. But then I did start to do a little of my own research, and I realized that all of these things, most of them are high in potassium. It's not just, the carbohydrate, maybe I'm struggling hormonally and I need a little bit, because I've been just eating, the kind of the same, low carb keto foods for many, many years. And I've been restricting for many, many years, trying to heal myself, but still. But yeah, and so I lost weight. I released a lot of water weight, I think is what it was. And we discovered that in our session where my body was not utilizing water correctly. So I need electrolytes. So I've been taking those. But yeah, this is like a big shift for me, realizing that my body is needing more than what I'm, was giving it before with just carnivore. So
Absolutely. And it's very difficult, just like how difficult it was whenever we shifted into this way of eating to not eat the standard American diet. Then it's like we just changed camps. And so now we're in this carnivore camp, and we're saying, okay, meat heals, fat heals, eat only meat and fat and you will be fine. And then we're having to even expand from there and go, maybe I need to listen to my body. Mm-hmm. Some people it works for, for years.
Yeah.
But if your body is telling you something different, you need to listen to that. You need to listen to that inner clarity. And it's so hard to get that inner clarity when you're listening to this doctor who's on YouTube, who's never even talked to you, never even looked at your blood work, never even talked to you about your food plan, and we're just blindly following all of these people on YouTube and not checking in with ourselves. And that's what I loved about you, Rosa. That's what I loved about working with you, is that you checked in with yourself and you had an awareness. And before you even came to me, Rosa, you knew, you were like, I really think I'm supposed to eat outside of carnivore. Can you check? And so it was just confirmation. The work that I did was just confirmation for you. You already knew that you needed something else.
Well, yeah. And I've been feeling for a long time too, that I didn't ever want to be on carnivore for life. I'm not one of these people that wanted to be on carnivore for life. I was trying to heal my gut. You know, I was trying to heal my autoimmune condition. I've known there's something wrong, you know. And then I did get confirmation too that, you know, I do have, you know, mold toxicity. I've got heavy metals. And that's not to say like, oh my gosh, I'm going to freak out about all that, but that's a piece of it. I'm 43 years old. I'm in perimenopause. Our hormones shift that time. And so there's like, I think you have to look at where you are and all the factors. Like everyone's body's been through something different. You know,
Rosa, can you explain how you found out you had heavy metals? Because I'm in the process of next week or two going to test with an allergist about metals, but I'm curious, how did you go about finding that out? Can you explain that?
Yes, because I can't afford to get the testing done, but I did use the body code to find that out. My body told me that I had heavy metals. Now I do want to get some testing done eventually. But in the mold, I've been exposed to mold multiple times throughout my life. So I've known that there's something, you know, that I definitely have mold. And then I did find that out through the body code. You know, your body knows, your body knows what's going on. It really does.
I'm seeing a doctor, an MD doctor. Luckily I turned 65, so I'm able to get this. I have Medicare, and and I have a supplement. It's really nice because I can kind of go to any doctor that I can find that, you know, I'm not stuck in the network like before. I was in Kaiser in California, which is extremely limiting. So I'm seeing a doctor next week, and I saw her this past yesterday. And she tested for some general food allergies, and because I have like a seafood intolerance, but I don't have an allergy towards it. But when I eat it, I get extremely ill. So we're trying to determine if, you know, like cats and stuff like that, but that's not really, you know, a big problem. Just avoid cats. But I'm trying to see if I have toxic metal too, but I'm still learning, like, is she doing the proper testing? Like, am I requesting the right things? But what I was going to say is, because she's a medical doctor, she can authorize testing for my health. So you might be able to, if you have insurance, you might be able to go to a special allergist that will authorize this testing. She said when you buy these tests from the internet, quite often the tests are not reliable and they're very expensive because they use a different type of format. I don't really know much about it. I'm just investigating it, but I'm just saying, does anybody else know more than I know? And then be careful about where you buy your tests from, because they might not be particularly worth it.
Yeah. Thank you, Becky. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I will look into that. Honestly, for me, that's what's been hard about my health journey, is that I can't afford all these tests.
No,
like, I want to work with a functional
thousands of dollars with no end in sight.
And I did in the very beginning of my journey in 2015. I went through all the tests. I had a colonoscopy. My throat kept closing up when I would eat salad, and I didn't listen to my body at that time. I kept eating the salad, the spinach, and my throat kept closing up. And so they actually expanded my throat, like stretched out my throat.
Wow.
Which was painful, but at the time, I didn't know what to eat at the time. I was eating just a lot of salads, like giant salads every day, because I thought that was the answer. But anyway, all this to say, like, I spent thousands of dollars in the beginning on tests. Because even when you have insurance, it's still $1,000 out of pocket for a colonoscopy. And then all to say that I have a clean bill of health, and you should just stay away from the foods that bother you. That's what I was told. And it was like, well, I'm in extreme pain here.
Yeah.
That's terrible to hear. You had to pay $1,000 for a colonoscopy. That's absurd.
Yeah. Amy's put something in the chat. Amy, do you want to say something?
I like Rosa, your story is exactly like mine. I was
That's
working.
what I always relate to you, Amy, because everything that you talked about, I'm like, that's me. Oh my gosh, that's me.
Yeah, I mean, functional medicine, which is supposed to be the best way to deal with any of this, and natural, so many tests, and all I got was more diagnoses. That was all I ended up with, and I was told my food was fine. It wasn't my food. We had to supplement with supplements, and we needed to do other tests and other things. And I knew my inner clarity was, this is not the path I am supposed to take. I'm just not. And not until I stopped with the conventional testing, because let me tell you, they can find a lot of stuff. And I think that there is so much more wrong with us than we even realize. But when you start muscle testing, you notice it doesn't always take you to, this is what's wrong with you, now go get medicine.
Yeah.
It takes you to, I want you to do this. Okay, why does my body want this? And then you read it and you go, oh, yeah, that looks familiar. Okay, that explains some stuff. So I think you're absolutely on the right track with the muscle testing. Following what your own body is telling you to do is going to be far superior than listening to anything that even an in-person doctor can give you, because they're still just guessing. Even with their tests, they're still just guessing, because we know that sometimes there's test error.
Mhm.
I mean, like, there's so much. How many times is it, oh, it was a false negative, or it was a false positive, or or a fluke. It could be a fluke. And then they have to interpret that. Whereas your body in real time can give you a result to say, hey, this is where we're actually at right now. So that's so exciting. I'm so happy for you that you're getting results. By the way, I had spaghetti squash for dinner last night too.
Don't tell anybody.
Don't tell anybody. And I thought, okay, we're going to see. Like, I knew that it was good. I was like, I knew, like, my body was like, yes, give it to me. So I ate some and went to bed and woke up this morning. That's a tiny human. And I was like, okay, what's going to happen? Am I going to be up like 10 pounds? Nope. I lost another half pound.
I'm sorry, Amy. I'm going to have to pull your carnivore card.
Oh, here, wait, I think
You're
I
gonna have to
have
hand
it
over.
right there. It's yours. You can have it. It's
All
all
right.
good.
Well, and I think I now my eyes are open, so I'm just looking at it a different way, that, hey, maybe I'm not carnivore anymore, but this could be like I'm ancestral meat based, right? I've never liked labels. I'm, what do I call myself? Like a rebel. I don't like I've never called myself carnivore, but I was following a carnivore diet. I never even liked the word keto. This is the way I'm eating, but that's not me. I'm not keto. I just eat that way, so I'm Rosa and I'm eating this food today.
I love that. I love that. And I think it was so important. I had to go the carnivore route, the high fat route, to get off of the sugar and the processed foods. There was no way I was going to put that stuff down. There was no way. And so I can't discount any leg of the journey that got me here. And that is getting everybody else here.
Well,
I know
feel like
that
it's like a gateway to healing.
yes.
And you use these steps, but you don't need to stay there your whole life if you don't want to. But if you do want to, then, and you're thriving, then I think that's great. But then if it's not working anymore, I think you have to kind of look outside the box and say, maybe I need something else in the moment. Maybe not forever, but in this moment.
Yeah. And I really like how you looked at the foods that came up and saw the correlation. Oh, it's potassium. Okay. So that's what my body's asking for. And I like how Tom said, Rosa, you can just say that you're on an ancestral diet. And
yes,
here's your
that.
ancestral card.
I'm primal.
Yes. And I can get behind that. I can't get behind snack wells and, low fat yogurt and sugar-free this and sugar-free that. And I know that that's not the answer, but I think that we need to keep an open mind and listen to our bodies.
Thank you. And thank you for having this space where I can feel safe to share that too.
Thank you so much. That's awesome. We're going to go to Wendy real quick, and then Kevin has an update. Go ahead, Wendy.
Well, this actually isn't so much of an update.
Yeah, go
This
ahead.
is more me putting on my geek hat. So we're talking about how laboratory tests can lie. And it's not deliberate on anybody's part. But the way the system is set up, normal ranges are based on a bell curve of the population. So if you test 100,000 patients, you average it out, and 80% is the normal range, the middle 80%. Now, think about that one, because 85% of the population in the United States today is either white, obese, or massively actually healthy to give you a normal range. Those people are all included in that normal average. And as a result, normal ranges are the ranges of sick people. So the doctor looks at it and goes, "You look fine. Your ranges are normal." Yeah, we're pre-diabetic. Even the blood sugar, I tripped over my registry questions from 30 years ago. The blood sugar ranges have gone up by 30 points.
Wow.
85, 86 used to be pre-diabetic.
They're changing our normal.
Yeah, because it's an average of the population. Now, a few things haven't changed. 40 is still the bottom number on glucose. That's a panic. That hasn't changed. But the upper numbers, yeah. They're calling, you're not considered diabetic until you're 126 now. Used to be if you were 100, they were calling you diabetic. So, yeah, really, it has changed. And it's just a function of averaging the normal population that's sick. It's not that anybody's trying to lie. It's just, right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even worse, actually, the blood sugar. So, yeah. Keep the industry in the pants here. Sorry.
Awesome. Thanks for that perspective. I appreciate that. I'm going to repeat that really quick because some people couldn't understand.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. You're traveling. I get it.
Yeah.
So basically Blaze put it in there. Average equals average of the sick population is not average. You want what is the healthy average. And so whenever you look at those normal ranges that they have at your doctor, they're basing that on including sick people, not well people. So that's basically what Wendy said. Thank you, Wendy.
I can just
go ahead.
I'll just say true is like when some of I had reversal of my weight loss surgery in August, and my regular original doctor and my primary care doctor here in San Jose both said my numbers were absolutely perfect. And I was extremely diligent to take the supplements that they told me to take to absorb. But when I saw Dr. Cyrus, he said, "Oh yeah, all your physical symptoms are pointing that you're anorexic, but I'm eating constantly because I had such malabsorption." So he was interpreting them correctly. And he goes, "No, you're really off. Terrible." So, but the standard people kept saying, "Oh, you're in the range. You're in the range." Well, I'm dying. So
I'm so grateful that you found Dr. Cyrus.
Yeah.
Such a blessing. Thanks for sharing that, Becky. So I think it's really important for us to recognize that there's so many different ways to look at what is normal. And Kevin, I would love to hear your update.
All right. So on Tuesday, I had another MRI because I've been getting it every 6 to 8 months just to keep track of what's happening in my brain and spinal cord.
With your diagnosis, to update people,
is relapsing remitting multiple sclerosis.
Yeah, go ahead.
Which was acting like secondary progressive about 2 years ago. But now 605 days on a high-fat carnivore diet, my lesions are continuing to shrink and many of them are disappearing. So, yeah.
Oh my goodness. How did that feel to get that report?
It felt like vindication, because my neurologist has not been like poo-pooing the carnivore diet and stuff, but he's been very like always wanting to go and reinforce the need to have the disease modifying treatment and all of that. But that he mentioned that even with a disease modifying treatment, you're not supposed to get healthy. You're supposed to just slow and ideally stop the loss and the damage and all of that. And he said, no, but I mean, they are healing and they're getting smaller. They're none of them were active. So I have the scarring on the brain, but none of them are active, and they are starting to diminish. And some of the smaller ones have actually completely disappeared.
Oh my gosh, I want to cry. Like, I feel like the day my dad was with me, the day that I was in the van and I got the results from my last MRI, and it was my 6th MRI, and it said no new activity, no new MS activity. And I was just like, are you kidding me? And he turned to me and he was like, you beat it. And I was like, I beat it. Like, we did this. So that's why I'm never going to shut up about high fat carnivore, because it does heal so many things and so many people. But thank you so much, Kevin, and for just sharing that with us on this journey. I mean, have you found that for other people as well?
For a couple, because I'm a carnivore coach, and in my little bio of carnivore coaching, I mentioned that I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis back in 2011, and I've been trying different things. And in May of 2021, I went carnivore, not high fat carnivore, because I thought, of course it's carnivore. Of course, there's just an ungodly amount of saturated fat, and I'm going to give myself a heart attack and colon cancer, until you set me straight and you're like, no.
Eat the
And
fat.
scurvy.
Yeah,
And
get
scurvy.
scurvy. Yeah. And so I have several clients who have multiple sclerosis, and they're on the process of getting more high fat. And I've been telling your story. I went and I had asked about your video showing what you're eating now with the raw meat and the raw fat and all of that, and just to share with them. And so some of them are starting to get slight improvement in their symptoms. One of them has not been able to stay on really solid with the carnivore and the high fat.
It's hard. Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's others who have started the high fat and been doing it well, but been doing it for a short enough period of time that the fruits are not yet showing.
Yeah. And it's so funny because for me, like I would say I've had probably 12 people like contact me directly. And I think about all the people that maybe watch my videos that have never contacted me. But even if those 12 people are the only people that this has helped them with their MS, then it's a win. Like, I'm grateful. Even if, Kevin, you're the only one that heard me when I said I eat, frozen raw beef fat, and you started doing it and then you had results. If you're the only one, it was worth it. It was worth it to share my experience. So I'm so grateful that you are a coach and that you are helping other people. And everybody's different.
Everybody's different.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Awesome. Thank you so much.
So of course I'm not trying to pull Amy's carnivore card.
No.
Because everybody is different, and what's right for you is not what's right for me right now, especially. So yeah, blessings to all of y'all.
Yes, thank you so much. And that's what I love about this group is that we can go from one extreme to the other. And you guys know what I eat. I eat beef and beef fat. That's all I eat. And so I'm not sitting here trying to make an anti-carnivore conversation. I'm trying to make a pro you conversation. Follow your inner clarity. That's why I changed the name to Inner Clarity, because that we got to tap into that. We got to follow that. Becky, go ahead. Oh, you're muted.
I just have, it's probably an obvious question, but I just really need some support. So when I had the reversal of the weight loss surgery, I was having a lot of diarrhea because I had a high fat diet, which malabsorbed. So it was, causing a lot of the diarrhea, but I kept trying to eat a high fat carnivore diet. And then I had it reversed. So I can absorb my fat now. And that's better. I'm not having the chronic, indigestion or bowel, problems with that. So, but I'm eating a high fat carnivore. I'm not eating a carnivore diet. I'm eating a high fat, high meat diet. But then I put it in the chat, but then I accidentally erased it. So I didn't want to type it again. But I've gained 40 pounds since the last since August. So Dr. Cyrus had said, try to gain 20 pounds. And I'm in some of the groups with Kelly Hogan, which you guys know her probably too. And she's like, buy a flowy dress and gain 20 pounds. So I'm really a high achiever. I gained 40 pounds. And so I want to not continue to gain. I'm only 5'4". So 165 is a little heavy on my bones. I'm starting to feel like joint pain because of the pressure, but really I'm eating too many carbs. I'm still eating a lot of whole fruit and vegetables, not a lot, but here and there. But traveling for the last 2 months, I succumbed to quite a bit of, I tried not to be tempted. I tried to eat my meat and my butter, but still I would I'll have a little bit of that waffle at the hotel, or I'll have a little bit of that enchiladas. So a little bit here and there, but not just full out back to the standard American diet. And I pretty much tried to avoid any processed food that, other than probably sourdough bread or some tortillas, with the enchiladas, and some rice, but that's, processed. So I kind of already know the answer, but I'm trying to get a grip on it, because you can see I'm emotional, because I'm an addict and I still keep going back to that stuff. And I think, I'm just eating a little of it, but it's too much. So I'm trying to understand the physiology when I eat a high fat diet, because I really crave butter, and I'm eating a lot of butter, at least a stick a day or more. And then I'm eating high fat bacon, and I cook my eggs in bacon oil grease, and we eat a ribeye steak. My husband and I share one almost every day. But then I'm, sneaking in, I'll have a little bit of that and a little bite of that at a party. So I'm pretty much saying that probably is it the combination of fat and carbs that really kind of counterbalance the high fat, because if you're eating high fat and then you stick in carbs, you're just going to digest it differently, and it just turns to fat on your body. So I'm trying to understand, if you do a high fat diet, that's really healthy, but if you don't do it strictly, you're going to almost do double damage to yourself. I'm trying to understand it, because we have friends that are talking that are keto or moderate fat, or have, so it's I'm trying to understand, am I doing double damage to myself because I'm doing a high fat diet? I'm eating butter whenever I
hear your question. I understand what you're asking. I hear your question.
Okay,
yeah. And someone wrote in the chat, was very, very sweet. It says, I am an addict. It takes time to regulate. I give myself grace when you get off the path, and I'm giving you the same. So we are giving you grace. And Amy, I would love for you to respond to this.
Yeah, there's a lot to it, but essentially, yes, you are 100% right. Carbs and fat together are a really bad combo, because they're both fuel. So, excuse me, when you put the two of them together, you are over inundating yourself with fuel. And when you eat carbs and fat together, or carbs and protein together, it doesn't matter. The carbs are always going to be burned first. Always. So your body's going to burn these carbs. Well, once it's gotten enough energy for what it needs to do, the rest of whatever you've eaten is going to go into storage. So if you're eating nothing but fuel, because it's the carbs and the fat, so like the waffle that you brought up, especially if you're putting heavy whipping cream or butter on top of it, it's carbs and fat. So your body's going to burn what it needs for the energy factor, and then the rest of it is going to get stored. So it sounds like more than anything, you are in just a fuel surplus, because a lot of people will say, if you're going to eat your carbs, don't eat them with fat too, because then your body can just work on those. But the problem with that is that the carbs can cause so much damage and inflammation that it doesn't really do anybody any favors at all. So making sure that you're getting enough protein and filling up on the protein and not just the carbs. Like carbs and protein aren't exchangeable. And a lot of people find that when they start adding in some other things, they start skimming down on the protein again. And it's kind of this spiral that goes out of control, because every time you eat those carbs, you're lighting up your brain and it's giving you this hit. And that's why we're addicts. That is why our bodies crave those things and we go back to those, because it's giving you an immediate, oh, it makes me feel good. Even if it's just for 20 minutes, it makes you feel good. It lights up your brain. Sugar is more addictive than cocaine, and it lights up the pleasure center of your brain more than cocaine does. There was actually a study done over in France a long time ago, but a doctor had these mice and he had them all addicted to cocaine. And the mice could go over, he was tracking addiction. He was trying to see how often they needed to replenish and like get another hit. So he allowed the mice to have this lever that they could go over and redose themselves with cocaine anytime they wanted. Well, he was trying to find other things, the other ways of doing it. So he was testing some stuff and ended up introducing sugar water. 9 out of the 10 mice transitioned themselves from cocaine to sugar water, because it lights up your brain. And it doesn't just have to be sugar. Wheat is horrible. It is one of the worst things on this planet. And it's not because wheat in itself is bad, but what we've done to it. We have crossbred it. We have engineered it. GMO, almost everything is GMO now. And the GMO is genetically modified organisms. They are actually going into your body and they are altering your DNA on a cellular level. Plus, then you throw the Roundup that's sprayed on top of it. So it is killing your gut microbiome, which is supposed to help with so many other things, including your mental health. There is a gut-brain connection that we do not fully understand, but we do know that anything sprayed with glyphosate can disrupt that and cause mental health problems greater than a lot of other things, which is why so many of our processed foods have wheat in them. And even if it's just, wheat fiber, all the keto foods, keto, I use keto very lightly in that sense, but they say keto on the front of it and you turn it around and it says bioengineered food product with wheat fiber, corn fiber. And they're like, oh yeah, the fiber totally cancels everything out, but it doesn't. What else is getting delivered into your food? So those little indulgences, those little bites, they are not only lighting up your brain and triggering you, but they are harming the rest of your body as well. So, Tom, do you want to comment on something on this?
I was just going to say, I can listen to you all day, Amy, talk about things, just things in general. But you and Emily both, of course. You two are just the most impressive young women that I know.
Thank you.
And what I was going to say, I was just going to say carnivore. And, I went and looked at the definition of carnivore. Carnivore is nothing but a animal eating person or animal eating, creature, I guess you could say. You're eating let's say carnivores are meat-eating animals from the order Carnivore. That's all it is. They hunt, kill, and eat flesh of other animals. So it's not meat and fat, meat and vegetables, and it's just that you eat meats. That's all. A meat-based diet. That doesn't mean anything. So you can. That's why I say the carnivore card doesn't make sense to me at all. So just wanted to throw that out there.
Awesome. Thank you.
So Becky, does that kind of help you understand? Does that kind of put it into perspective a little bit?
Oh yeah, and I appreciate you explaining that too, and reiterating it, because I mean I feel that that's what I understand, but I still can't, always accomplish it. But I kind of feel like sometimes I think, well, I ate these carbs and I'm going to eat more fat. And then just to, try to counterbalance it. But I know that that's probably just laying on the fuel, like you said, keeping it separate. So, and I'm assuming that that is even with whole carbs, like if you're eating some starchy sweet potatoes or the squash, that's still carbs that are going to act as fuel. So it's, if
Well,
we're
that's
going
going to
to
be
eat,
a different experience than a waffle, though.
Yeah.
So,
oh yeah, I agree. But even if I'm eating like, I bought some red potatoes and some acorn squash that I was adding to a soup. And I'm like, well, am I making it worse because I added those to my chicken soup,
It would be far better for you to add that to your chicken soup than to eat the waffle, or even a bite of the waffle. Or, you said because you said these little few bites. I would much rather you do that to your soup, because those are whole foods.
Right,
It's
right.
ancestral, diet that we were talking about.
it's hard. It's so hard. But I love what Chris said in the chat. She said, it's not about perfect. You're here sharing, and that counts. And I'm so proud of you. And so I'm sure that everyone, and I see the heads nodding, I know that everyone feels that same way. So thank you for being transparent, Becky. And
it's just good to get some support and get like, okay, I can do this.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you guys so much for another great meeting. I love having these conversations with you all. And thank you for everyone that participated, and those that are just listening, and putting stuff in the chat. This is a group, and it means so much to me to have this experience with you guys. I will see you next Saturday. Bye.